the light of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignations, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels, and in the presence of the Lamb.
On that day, when judgment is poured out, Yah's gonna give it to you straight. No straight, no chase out 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 straight. Shalom, shalom, shalom. It is such a pleasure and an honor to be before you. In this video, we're going to discuss 3 things. Why Israelites must always keep the law, statutes, and commandments. Why no one is in the new covenant according to the law of the prophets. And why the new covenant, just like the old covenant, is only for Israel. Okay, so we're going to start with Habakkuk. We're going to read verses 2 and 3. Then Yahuwah answered me and said, write the vision and engrave it plainly on clay tablets, so that the one who reads it will run. For the vision is yet for the appointed future time. It hurries towards the goal of fulfillment. It will not fail, even though it delays. Wait patiently for it, because it will certainly come. It will not delay. Okay, now, to put it quite simply, the reason why we have to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments is because at least 3 times, or 2 times or once repeated, we said all that Yahuwah has spoken, we will do. That is our portion of the covenant. That's why we as Israelites must do what we said, or we'll be found what? Liars. Okay, we're going to read verse 4. Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine, and ye shall be unto me a kingdom and a holy nation. These are the words which ye shall speak unto the children of Israel. Not the whole world, just the children of Israel. Okay, let's go to Exodus chapter 24. We're going to... Oh, wait a minute. That's what he spoke. Now we're going to hop down to verse, what is it? 19. Because I forgot to tell you. They said that all that he said we will do. Okay. And Moses came and called for the elders and for the people, and laid before their faces all these words which Yahuwah commanded him. And all the people answered together and said, all that Yahuwah have spoken, we will do. So that's witness number 1. We need to do what we agreed to do. Now we're going to go to Exodus 24. Okay. We're going to start at verse 3. And Moses came and told the people all the words of Yahuwah and all the judgments. And all the people answered with one voice and said, all the words which Yahuwah have said, we will do. That's the second time. So all these laws, statutes, and commandments, these are the words that we said we will do. So we need to do them so we can go home. And I'm going to show you that soon. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 5, right? Verse 27. Now, this is what the people of Israel are telling Moses. Go near and listen to all Yahuwah our Elohim says. Then tell us whatever Yahuwah our Elohim tells you. We will listen and obey. Right? They will do. They said that they would obey. And we went into slavery because we didn't obey. He told us don't mix with these other people, separate from these other people. We didn't listen. So now let's go look at the covenant. Let's go see Old Testament first, then we'll go to the New Testament. And we'll see that it's only for the descendants of Israel. That's what it says by the prophets. So from the law, it was only for Israel. To the prophets, it's only for Israel. No one ever prophesied or said anything different. It would break the covenants he made with our forefathers. And we know that Elohim is not a man that he should lie. So let's go to 31. And behold, the days are coming, says Yahuwah, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel, the northern kingdom, and the house of Judah, the southern kingdom. Not like the covenant I made with their fathers in the day when I led them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Israel, my covenant which they broke, although I was a husband unto them, says Yahuwah. But my covenant is but this is the covenant which I will make with the house of Israel after those days. What days? The days when we go into that 400-year slavery. He's going to recover us again the second time. After those days, says Yahuwah, I will put my law within them, and I will write it on their hearts, and I will be their Elohim, and they will be my people. That was always the plan, no one else. And each man will no longer teach his neighbor and his brother, saying, Know Yahuwah, for they will all know me, through personal experience, from the least of them to the greatest, says Yahuwah. For I will forgive their wickedness, and I will no longer remember their sins. He's only talking about the children of Jacob. He's going to forgive their sins, and he's going to forgive their wickedness, and he's no longer going to remember. So I feel sorry for everyone else because he's not talking about you. Now, we're going to read the next two verses because the covenant that he gave us was forever and it's unbreakable. Yes, we have to go through the curses if we break them. But as soon as we repent and we return to the law, we receive the blessings yet again. So, just so you will see, verse 35 and 36 is what we're going to read. There is no, we'll read down to 37. Okay. Thus says Yahuwah, who gives sun for light by day, and the fixed order of the moon and the stars for light by night, who stirs up the sea's roaring bellows and stills the waves when they roar. Yahuwah Sabaoth is his name. If these fixed orders depart from me, says Yahuwah, then the descendants of Israel will also cease from being a nation before me forever. Thus says Hayahuah, if the heavens above can be measured and the foundations of the earth searched out below, then I will cast off and abandon all the descendants of Israel for all that they have done, says Hayahuah. So see, he gave you impossibilities, these things you cannot do. So since you cannot do it, he will never cast us off altogether. But he corrects us in measure. And yes, he uses slavery to correct his people. He said if we don't want to serve him, be his servants, he'll let us serve another. And the others are cruel and heartless. Now, let's go on to Jeremiah 33 because it tells you the same thing. I'm going to start at 19. The word of Hayahuah came to Jeremiah saying, thus says Hayahuah, if you can break my covenant with the day and my covenant with the night, so that day and night do not take place at their appointed time, then my covenant also be broken with David my servant, so that I will not have a son to reign Slakia. So he will not have a son to reign on his throne. And my covenant also be broken with the Levitical priests, my ministers, as the host of the stars of heaven cannot be counted, and the sands of the sea cannot be measured. So I will multiply the descendants of David, my servant, and my Levites who minister to me. And the word of Hayahuah came to Jeremiah saying, have you not, Salakia, have you not noticed what this people have spoken, saying, the two families of Israel, the northern kingdom, and Judah, the southern kingdom, which Hayahuah has chosen, he has rejected. Thus they despise my chosen people. No longer are they considered as a nation in their sight. Thus says Hayahuah, if my covenant with the day and night does not stand, and if I do not establish the fixed patterns of heaven and earth, the whole order of nature, then I would also reject the descendants of Jacob and David, my servant, not taking from his descendants rulers over the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But I will restore their fortunes and have mercy on them. Hallelujah. See, y'all want us to think that he chose the church. It's the Catholic Church and every branch that came out of her, every denomination. Those are the people is what you teach the world. You're liars. You're bald-faced liars. Now, let's go to Hebrews and look at this new covenant. Right? Verse 7. For if the first covenant had been faultless, there would have not been occasion for a second one, or an attempt to institute another one. The new covenant, however, Elohim finds fault with them, showing its inadequate when he says, behold, the days will come, says Hayahuah, when I will make a rafty, a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. not like the covenant that I made with their fathers on the day when I took them by the hand and led them out of the land of Egypt. For they did not abide in my covenant. See, we broke the covenant. That's what made it fault. We wouldn't do it. Shame on us. Again, my covenant they did not abide. And so I withdrew my favor and disregarded them, says Hayahuah. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, says Hayahuah. After those days, after we've served our judgment, we have to pay for our crimes. And that's what the 400 years was about. I will imprint my law on their minds, even upon their innermost thoughts and understanding, and engrave them upon their hearts, affecting their regeneration. And I will be their Elohim, and they will be my people. And it will not be necessary to Slakia, it will not be necessary for each one to teach his fellow citizen or one of his brothers, saying no by experience, having knowledge of Hayahuah. For all will know me by experience and having knowledge of me. For from the least from the least to the greatest of them. For I will be merciful and gracious towards their wickedness. I will remember their sins no more. Right? Which basically repeated everything that was said in Jeremiah 31. Okay? Again, it's only for the house of Israel and the house of Judah, which are the northern and southern kingdom. Now, when we go to Hebrews chapter 9, it tells you that his blood was only shed for those who were under the first testament. And that was only the children of Israel. So again, we must keep the law because it's our covenant. It's our arrangement, our agreement. All that he said we will do. And at the end, I'm going to show you his laws are eternal. So there's never a point in time where you're not going to do it, except for sacrifice. And that was only for a time period. Because sacrifices, except for sin, are coming back. All you have to do is read the prophets. Ezekiel tells you. Okay. Starting at verse 15. For this cause he is the mediator of the New Testament, that by means of death for the redemption of the transgression that were under the first testament, they which are called might receive the promises of eternal inheritance. For where a testament is, there must also of necessity be the death of the tester. For a testament is of force after men are dead. Your will is only enforced after you die. While you're alive, it has no force in it. Okay. Otherwise, it is of no strength at all while the tester lives, upon where neither the first testament was dedicated without blood. For when Moses had spoken every precept, every law to all the people according to the law, he took the blood of calves and goats, which washed Slakia with water and scarlet wool and hyssop, and sprinkled the book and all the people, saying, "This is the blood of the testament which Elohim hath enjoined unto you." It is a blood covenant. Moreover, he sprinkled with blood the tabernacle and the vessels of ministry. Okay, so let's go see. Well, not gonna go see that right now. We're gonna go see that the Messiah himself prophesied the slavery of his people. And right after the slavery of his people, and they've served their judgment and they've repented, you see right next is the return of Christ. See, the return of Christ. So this was the judgment. Starting at verse 20, this is Luke chapter 21. But when you see Jerusalem surrounded by hostile armies, then understand with confident assurance that her complete destruction is near. At that time, those who are left in Judea, which were the Judeans, not Jewish. There's no such thing in the Bible called Jewish. The Judeans must flee to the mountains, and those who are inside the city, Jerusalem, must get out after those who are out in the country must not enter the city, for those are the days of vengeance. For great trouble and anguish will be sent on the land, and a wrath and retribulation on the people Israel. See, the whole world didn't see what we've already seen. That's why y'all looking for stuff that has already happened. The judgment that's coming now is y'all judgment. For they will fall by the edge of the sword and be led captive into all nations because of the transatlantic slave trade, the sub-Saharan slave trade, the East Indian slave trade, which was also by Europeans. So, yeah, we were spread out to the four corners of the earth and the islands of the sea through slavery. Deuteronomy 28 tells you how. Again, verse 24. And they will be led, Slakia, and they will fall by the sword. They will fall by the edge of the sword and be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem will be trampled underfoot by Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles are fulfilled, complete. Because this last rulership is the last Gentile rulership. There will never be another Gentile to rule. This is just biblical facts. So let's go and see, because remember it says these are the days of vengeance where all things written must be fulfilled. Cool. Genesis chapter 15. Starting at verse 13. Elohim said to Abram, know for a surety that your descendants will be strangers living temporarily in a land, Egypt, that is not theirs. There they will be enslaved and oppressed for 400 years. But on that nation whom your descendants will serve, I will bring judgment, and afterwards they will come out of that land with great possessions. You know, the first time our ancestors went into Egypt, it wasn't until all the brethren was dead. Joseph and all the brothers had died. Then a Pharaoh who did not know Joseph and all that he had done oppressed them. They were only oppressed for roughly about 215 years. They went in as royalty, having the best parts of the land of Egypt, but they came out as slaves. We came to these foreign lands as slaves, but I promise you, we will leave out as royalty with the possessions of the nations. We will have the wealth of the nations. It is prophesied that this shall be the greatest wealth transfer since Jacob and Laban. But let me continue, right? So we're looking at what was prophesied, right? We're going to go to Deuteronomy 28. We're going to start at verse 13. Yahuwah will make you the head and leader and not the tail, follower. And you will be above only and not beneath. If, conditional statement, if you listen and pay attention to the commandments of Yahuwah your Elohim, which I am commanding you today, to observe them carefully. Do not turn aside from any of the words which I have commanded you today, from the right hand or the left, to follow and serve other mighty ones. Verse 15. The consequences for disobedience is how they said they're going to start this portion out, right? Let's read verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if you do not listen and obey the voice of Yahuwah your Elohim, and carefully do all his commandments and his statutes, which I am commanding you today, then all these curses will come upon you and overtake you. Okay? So yes, it was talking to them, but it was talking to the future, the generations as well. We're going to hop down to 45. So all these curses will come upon you and pursue you and overtake you until you be destroyed, because you would not obey the voice of Yahuwah your Elohim by keeping his commandments and his statutes, which he command you, not the world, you. Then, they will be a sign and a wonder to you and to your descendants forever. Upon us, all these curses, all the brokenness of our communities comes from disobedience. So, we just can't continue on in disobedience. Now, this right here was how we will be scattered. So if anybody is claiming to be the children of Israel, they have to be the children of Israel according to what's prophesied, because the things that they would go through are signs and wonders to point to who they are. You know, you look and say, why are these people so cursed? Because they didn't keep the law. Okay, verse 68. Yahuwah will bring you back into Egypt in ships by the way which I said to you, you will never see again. And there you will offer yourselves for sale to your enemies as male and female slaves. But there will be no one to buy you. Okay. Reason why it says we offered ourselves, because in the scriptures, in the law, it tells you, I set before you blessings and curses, life and death. Choose. So we chose to disobey. So as a result of our choice, we went into slavery in ships and we didn't have anyone to buy us. So you would think that's talking about they weren't buying us for service. That's not what it's talking about. When you go to the book of Leviticus, chapter 25, verses 47 and 48, it tells you about the law of redemption for Israelites. Your brother, your kinsman, your close relative can buy you out of slavery. They can pay the price. But no one came to redeem us. No one saved us. No one came because no one was supposed to come. We were supposed to be here until the Messiah comes and get us. In our enemy's land, remembering and thinking upon these wonders. Why did these things happen to us? Why do we seem like we're always on the bottom and struggling? Yes, there are a few successful people of our nation, but it's far and few in between of the amount of brilliance that's in our nation. So let's continue on, right? Deuteronomy 30. We're going to read verses 1 through 4. Again, because you're supposed to be scattered into every nation. And it's not supposed to be the United Nations or secret backdoor deals that allowed you to be free. What the Most High did with Moses, he did it in front of everybody. Because he's I'm going to show you kind of God. I told you, you didn't listen, so now let me show you. So, in this chapter it says, when all these blessings and curses I have set before you have come on you, and you take them to heart, wherever Yahuwah your Elohim dispersed you among the nations in those ships. And when you and your children return, keep the law to Yahuwah your Elohim and obey him with all your hearts and with all your souls, according to everything that I command you today, then Yahuwah will restore your fortunes, which is what is prophesied in Genesis chapter 15. First, you got to go into slavery and pay for your crime. But that nation that we served, he's going to judge and we'll come out with a great fortune. I mean, it's this simple. We got to obey and they will pay. And I will have compassion on you and gather you again, a second time, again, from all the nations where I scattered you, even if you have been banished to the most distant lands under the heavens. From there will Yahuwah your Elohim gather you and bring you back. Right? Again, we got to keep these laws. That's why it says, if you love me, everything he promised to us is conditional, based upon obedience. If you love me, keep my commandments. Okay. Leviticus, verse 26. This is how we get home, guys. If they will confess their sins and the sins of their ancestors, their unfaithfulness and their hostility towards me, which made me hostile towards them, so that I sent them into the lands of their enemies, not friends, not lovers, enemies. Then, when their uncircumcised hearts are humbled and they pay for their sins, I will remember my covenant with Jacob and my covenant with Isaac and my covenant with Abraham, and I will remember the land, for the land will be deserted by them and will enjoy its Sabbaths until while it lays desolate without them. They will pay for their sins, because they rejected my law and abhorred my decrees. Because we didn't keep those laws, statutes, and commandments, all this stuff happened to us. So to do the reverse is to be obedient. Make it up in your mind that you're just going to do what he told you to do. And he'll show you the way, especially if you do it in truth and sincerity. He'll show you the way. Yet, in spite of this, when they are in the land of their enemies, I will not reject them or abhor them so as to destroy them completely, breaking my covenant with them. I am Hayahuwah, their Elohim. But for their sake, I will remember my covenant, the covenant with their ancestors whom I brought out of Mizraim, Egypt, in the sight of all the nations, to be their Elohim. I am Hayahuwah. Everything he did before, he getting ready to do it again. He showed us all this great might. We can refer back to Egypt to remember what he did, because he about to do it again. If he did it before, he'll do it again. He's the same, unchanging, unwavering. Elohim. Israel is the love. Love. He has so much compassion for us. And yet we treat him like nothing. We treat his word like nothing. We treat each other like nothing. We need to get it together. I just want to go home. Okay. This is Deuteronomy chapter 7. This is what the second Exodus is going to look like. It's in the law. So if anybody else says they got home another way, it's because they're not the people. They're just a bunch of liars. The synagogue of Satan. This is how his law is how you separate the truth from the lie. All right, verse 12 of Deuteronomy chapter 7. Then it shall come about, because you listen to the judgments and keep and do them, that Hayahuwah your Elohim will keep with you the covenant and the steadfast loving kindness which he swore to your fathers. He will love you and bless you and multiply you. He will also bless the fruit of your womb and the fruit of the land, your grain and your new wine and your olive oil, and your offspring of your cattle, and the young of your flock, in the land which he swore to your fathers to give. You shall be blessed above all people, for there will be no male or female barren, childless, infertility among you or your cattle. Now, this is also another strike against those who are claiming to be us, because right now the state of Israel is having, like Europe, a fertility problem. Their rates are so low; they're not reproducing enough to even sustain life, and it doesn't collapse on itself. So, that's a sign they're not the people. But anyways, verse 15. Yahuwah will take away from you all sickness. He will not subject you to any of the harmful diseases of Egypt, which you have known, but he will impose them on all those who hate you. It's like, who hates you, verse 16. And you shall consume all the people whom Hayahuwah Elohim will give over to you. Your eyes shall not pity them. That's why you can't be friends. Because if you be friends, you're going to feel sorry and bad. But if you ain't friends with these people, you're not going to have no love, no pity. That's why you have to separate. But you're going to have a job to do. And you're going to fail at your job. And you're going to lose twice. That's crazy. Nor shall you serve their mighty ones, for that would be a deadly trap to you. If you say in your heart, these nations are greater than I am, how can I dispossess them? You shall not be afraid of them. You shall remember with confidence. You shall remember with confidence what Yahuwah your Elohim did to Pharaoh and to all Egypt. The great trials which you saw with your own eyes, and the signs and the wonders and the mighty hand and the stretched out arm which Yahuwah your Elohim brought you out, so shall Yahuwah your Elohim do to all the people whom you are afraid of. So all these nations who did all these terrible things, who put a little fear in somebody's heart, I'm gonna pay for this. He said the same way he tore up Egypt and brought down Pharaoh. Y'all got it coming, bruh. This the real dealio. Why do you think y'all nation been getting tore up bad since 2019? Since then, sitting President Trump announced the 400 years of the African American so-called, the southern tribe of Judah, had paid for their crime. That same month, CV-19 had started or was leaked or had the outbreak. And by March of that year, the whole world was suffering. Y'all better pay attention. Okay. Moreover, Yahuwah your Elohim will send hornets, his terror, against them, until those who are left and hide themselves from you perish. You shall not dread them, for Yahuwah your Elohim is in your midst, like a great and awesome Elohim. Yahuwah your Elohim is clear away these nations before you, little by little, and you will not be able to put an end to them quickly. For if you do, the wild animals would become too numerous for you. But Yahuwah your Elohim will hand them over to you and will confuse them with a great panic until they are destroyed. And he will hand over their kings to you, and you will make their names perish from under the heaven. No man will be able to stand before you until you have destroyed them. See, if those over there in the land was truly the people, all this trouble they've been having since they took that land, they wouldn't have. Because the other nations wouldn't be able to resist. They would have to bow. They don't bow because they are nothing but dogs. They are not the people of the Most High. They have lied. They live in another man's inheritance by another man's name. That's just facts. Now, let's look at what the prophets had to say, right? Isaiah 66. Who have heard such a thing? Who have seen such a thing? Shall a shall the earth be made to bring forth in one day? Or shall a nation be born at once? For as soon as Zion travailed, she brought forth her children. She, Slakia, shall I bring to the birth and not cause to bring forth, says Hayahuah? Shall I cause to bring forth and shut the womb, says Elohim? See, this whole thing about a nation being born at once, just like with the children of Israel, right? They went into Egypt 70 souls. They said they came out a couple of million, right? They say we came here about between 2 million and 12 million. And now we're 48, between 48 and 50 million, right? See the difference? We coming out a whole nation. They already told you that based upon our spending, we would be one of the 16th largest nations if we just counted it what Negroes spent. So, I mean, you got to understand, it's all about this second Exodus. That's why nobody's going to have to be taught. We're going to know him because he brought us all out. Isaiah 11, 11 through 12. And it shall come to pass that in that day that Hayahuah shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left in Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. See, it's a difference between outcast and dispersed. We were sent to the four corners of the earth. They weren't. All right. A lot of the places that are named are either Hamitic or Hamitic areas or what they call Middle East. So, anyways, let's go. Right? Jeremiah 16, 4 through 19. Therefore, behold, the days come, says Hayahuah, that it shall no longer be said, Hayahuah liveth, that bringeth up the children of Israel out of the land of Mizraim, out of Egypt. But Hayahuah liveth, that bringeth up the children of Israel from the north and from all the lands whither he had driven them. And I will bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers. That means somebody is in their land because they're not there. And Luke told us who it was. It will be Gentiles. Gentiles are in the land, trampling it down. And the time of the Gentiles are complete. Right? We're not there. We're still in our scattered, broken state. Behold, I will send many fishers, saith Hayahuah, and they shall fish them. And after I will send many hunters, and they will hunt them. from every mountain and from every hill, and out of the holes of the rocks. For mine eyes are open upon all their ways. They are not hid from my face, neither is their iniquity hid from mine eyes. And first I will recompense their iniquity and their sin double. And that double comes from the book of Romans. I'm not Romans, but Obadiah. It's part of his judgment that we give him and the nations that were with him double. And it's also in the book of Revelation, chapter 18, where we're to repay them double for all that they've done. So yeah, whew, y'all about to pay. Because they have defiled my land. They have filled mine inheritance with their carcasses of their detestable and abominable things. You know, they have pig factories over there in the state of Israel. They have one of the biggest homosexual parades in Tel Aviv. But the land don't spit them out. Why? Because they're not part of the covenant. They're not the people. And they've been doing this for years. And no judgment has happened to them. Have you ever wondered why? Because they're supposed to be there trampling down the land. And they're doing their job. They're fulfilling prophecy of who they are. Verse 19. O Yahuwah, my strength and my fortress and my refuge, in the day of affliction, the Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, surely, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit. There's no profit in the things that y'all are doing. The bill is going to come due. Whether it's sooner or later, the bill is still coming due. See, in the law, it tells you the same way he brought them out, the same things he did to those nations, which was just one, it was just Egypt at that time, he's going to do to every nation we're afraid of. And one of the things he did was he brought us all out at once and didn't leave any Israelites in Egypt, right? We're going to read that because that's prophesied about the second Exodus. We all supposed to come out at once. Nobody's supposed to be left in these lands. That's another strike against these people who claim to be us. Because there's more people who are Jewish who live outside the land than in the land. Just facts. All right. Ezekiel 39, verse 28. Then they will know that I am Yahuwah their Elohim. For though I sent them into exile among the nations, which is what the Messiah prophesied in Luke 21:24, that we would fall by the edge of the sword, and those who are left would go into captivity into all the nations. And as he just said, I sent them into exile among the nations. I will gather them from their own, I will gather them to their own land, not leaving anyone behind. See, that's another thing that disqualifies 1948 because no one was supposed to be left behind. Nothing that happened to those people was prophesied in the Bible of what will happen to the bloodline descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right, let's go to the next one. We're almost done. This is, oh, okay. This is Ezekiel chapter 20. See, a lion will restore Israel to her land. Cool. Verse 33. As I live, says Yahuwah, most certainly with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm, and with wrath poured out, I shall be king over you. I will bring you from the people and will gather you from the countries in which you are scattered. With a mighty hand and with an outstretched arm and with wrath poured out, and I will bring you into the wilderness of the people. See, they weren't actually supposed to go directly into that land. That's not what happened to the first Israelites. Israel's Israelites. The wilderness of the people. And there, when he brings us out to the wilderness of the people, and there I will enter into judgment with you and contend with you face to face, as I entered into judgment with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt. Because remember, the law says it has to be what happened the first time has to happen again. He brought everybody out. He judged them. Everybody who he brought out didn't make it into Israel. Only the faithful few, like Caleb and Joshua, and only their children after that. So y'all have to pay attention because you don't got no time to be messing up. All right? So he says he will enter into judgment like he did with our fathers in the land of Egypt. So I will enter into judgment and will contend with you, says Yahuwah. I will make you pass under the rod as a shepherd does with his sheep when he counts them, and I will count you as mine and contain you and bring you into the bonds of the covenant and bring you into the bonds of the covenant to which you are permanently bound. And I will bring you into the bonds of the covenant which you are permanently bound. And I will separate from you the rebels and those who transgress against me, the lawbreakers, the children of disobedience, the ones who don't want to keep the law. He's going to separate y'all. And I will bring them out of the land where they temporarily live. But they will not enter the land of Israel. Thus you will know without any doubt that I am Yahuwah. Because this is what happened the first time. When he brought them out, there was rebels and those who just did what they wanted to do. Love Egypt so much. And all those people did not make it in. Again, from the first group, it was only 2 adults and all the children of the Israelites. He made sure that all the adults died except for Joshua and Caleb. That's why they wandered in the wilderness for 40 years. To every last rebellious, disobedient person was deceased. His laws are eternal. They are good and they are just. There's no reason why we should not be keeping them. They were meant just for us. Okay. Baruch 4:1. This is the book of the commandments of Elohim and the law that endureth forever. All that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die. Facts. Now let's go read it down here, right? We're going to read 2 through 4. Turn thee, O Jacob, and take hold of it. Walk in the presence of the light thereof, that thou mayest be illuminated. Give not thine honor to another, nor the things that are profitable unto the strange nation. O Israel, happy are we, for things that are pleasing to Elohim are made known to us. Hallelujah. All right, last scripture. Psalms 19, verses 7 through 9. Elohim laws are perfect. They protect us, make us wise, and give us joy and light. They illuminate us, right? Elohim law are pure, eternal, and just. Okay? So now when we read this, the footnote, I love this footnote because, except for they try to make it just about worship and it's about the entire law. His entire law is pure, is good, and just. But it says, Elohim's law are pure, eternal, just, or the governing the worship, the rules governing worship, Salakia, of Yahuwah are pure and need never to be changed. His law is pure and need never to be changed. He is good, he is faithful, and he is true. He loves his people, and he is waiting for us to come back to him so he can come and take us home. Love us as that wayward child in the parable of the father with the disobedient son. I think it's called the prodigal son. But anyways, I love you guys. I hope you found this edifying. We're not in the new covenant because the law says we're not. The prophets show you when he said he'll bring us in. We have to go by what he says, not what man tells us. The Bible says, cursed is man that trusts in man. Let us do better. Love you guys. Be blessed.